What makes up more than 70% of the internet? Ooh.
It's my personal collection, isn't it?
Of what?
Of gentlemen's special interest literature.
I think we know what you're talking about.
Well, if you're going to be like that...
No, it's just quite surprising. They did a survey on behalf of the American Civil Liberties Union, who were very annoyed about some legislation that Bush was trying to push through, which they thought somewhat prohibitive of personal liberty, and they discovered that less than 1% of the internet is pornography. Less than 1%. Of all email traffic, 85, in fact, up to 89%, is spam. It's as simple as that.
Trying to sell you Xanax and penis enlargement.
Exactly. Soft Cialis, whatever that is.
The annoying thing about those, I get loads of them, most of them from my girlfriend, but it's the ones from my mum that really hurt.
Oh. Yay! Oh. Yes, a recent study has established that the World Wide Web is less than 1% pornography. And on the other hand, 89% of all emails are spam, which is good news if you're looking for cheap pills or you want to increase your extremities.
What is this island called?
Newfoundland.
Yeah. I'm going to have to shoot you now. No, it isn't the correct pronunciation.
Newfoundland. Hey, enough violence on this show.
Yeah. Newfoundland is the correct pronunciation, and in 1876 a man was killed during a brawl over the correct pronunciation.
Oh, we were lucky, weren't we?
We got violent.
Two mill workers, William Aitchison and John Davis, one thought it was Newfoundland and one thought it was Newfoundland. Aitchison threw a punch, Davis drew his gun and killed Aitchison. He got away, Davis, and he spent 37 years on the run. So there's a really...
Davis?
Yes, Davis.
Any relation?
Yeah.
Possibly.
John Davis, dangerous man.
I had a great-uncle who emigrated to Canada.
Did he go to Newfoundland?
Newfoundland.
I think he went to Quebec, actually.
And you inherited your shirt from him.
Anyway, just to finish the story, Davis, who killed Aitchison, he ran away for 37 years, and then on his deathbed, 1912, he's in a hospital in Peoria, in Illinois, and he feels so bad about it that he confesses on his deathbed, and then recovered and had to go on the run again.
I think he said, oh, I did that murder in Newfoundland. No, it's Newfoundland!
But actually, both men were right, because at the time, both pronunciations were perfectly acceptable. It's only fairly recently that people have gone a bit...
And what is it now? Without looking?
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland?
Newfoundland.
OK, and presumably if people are watching this in Newfoundland, they're shouting at their television.
Yes, they're probably...
They're all idiots. I have a constant argument with the pronunciation of Canadian places. My other half is Canadian, and everything seems to be pronounced a little bit faster than it should be. So it's Toronto, not Toronto.
Oh, is it?
Toronto.
Toronto.
Toronto. Like, as quick as you possibly can, like it's a crime to say it. Toronto.
I love Toronto. There used to be a bar there called the... Sorry, Toronto. There used to be a bar there called the Betty Ford Clinic. What's not to like? There's some fantastic names in Newfoundland. Conception Bay South is the second largest town.
Conception Bay South is, yeah.
It's Conception Bay South, maybe there's a north.
That's what I call it. She doesn't like it. She thinks it's too formal. Come on, love, let's have a look at Conception Bay South. Yeah. I bought you dinner, we saw the movie you wanted. Come on.
We're moving on to Conception Bay North, I suppose.
Well,
that's a special treat for birthdays.
It's possible.
Which way up is she? Hang on.
It's possible that a girl may prefer the Newfoundland town of Dildo or Eastern Tickle, which I like very much.
Do you?
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Not bad for me age.
Be serious for a moment. More than 100 million people were killed in wars during the 20th century. And the total number of people ever killed by wars could be as many as 1 billion. Einstein described war as a cloak that covers acts of murder. And Antoine de Saint-Exupéry called it a disease like typhus. With all that in mind, here is my question to you. Why did Hitler have such a silly moustache?
Thank God for that. I thought I was on the wrong show for a minute. Well, very serious.
I'm sure you'd agree with my description of war there, wouldn't you?
I would absolutely. This is a difficult show for me to be on because I'm a Quaker pacifist. So I'm not an ideal person.
Were you born a Quaker?
No, I wasn't. I was a Quaker by convincement, as they call it.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And because my family, the Fry family, were very early Quakers.
Of course they
all the
were.
way,
Of course
yeah,
they were,
It's
yeah.
a very admirable thing, and the pacifism is taken very seriously, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's a lovely thing until Hitler comes along, and then it's not much use.
Well, if we'd have done something about it before Hitler came along, then maybe...
He shaved his moustache
And I
off.
think the reason he had that moustache is he was probably a fan of Oliver Hardy.
Ah, well, it's certainly true that they were popular in the 20s and increasingly in the 30s. Well, Charlie Chaplin, of course, is best known. But supposedly Hitler changed from what was a relatively bushy moustache. You may have seen a famous photograph of him as a Gefreiter, a corporal in the First World War. There he is on the left. But there are a couple of stories. No one's quite sure which is true. There was a fellow who served with him, Alexander Moritz Fry, great-uncle Alexander. He was in the same regiment in the First World War as Hitler, and he said that Hitler trimmed it into the familiar toothbrush in order to fit into the gas mask properly. Oh. Fry's account is controversial, apparently. He went on to become a satirist and fantasy novelist, starting a family tradition.
Here's the point about Hitler. He's judged very harshly by history, but he did kill Hitler.
I can't take that away from you, Jimmy.
Credit when credit is due.
That's true. Some historians believe that Hitler only adopted the moustache in 1919, and his sister-in-law, who lived in Liverpool...
Well, she had one as well.
She may have done. Do you know what her name was?
Muriel.
Almost, as it were.
Gauss Adolf.
Bridget Hitler.
Bridget Hitler.
Yeah, that was her name. Bridget Hitler.
Bridget Hitler?
Yeah. Yes, she was married to Alois Jr., who was Hitler's half-brother. And they had a son, William Patrick Hitler.
Billy Hitler.
William Patrick Hitler went to America and won a Purple Heart in the Navy.
Changed his name, I presume.
Eventually to Stuart Houston, I think. And he claimed he wanted to forget anything to do with his uncle, but he named his first son Alexander Adolf Stuart Houston. Anyway, yes, Bridget, in her memoir, said that he came to visit Liverpool and that she told him that he should trim the ends of his moustache to make it less bushy. But, as she put it, as in most things, he went too far. Put him in his place.
What do vegetarian goat suckers eat?
Right. Can you show that on television?
I think that's taking vaping too far. So vegetarian goat suckers, what do they eat?
He must eat the rest of the goat, surely, before it becomes his instrument.
It's a vegetarian goat sucker.
So...
Well, there's no use saying that. What's a goat sucker?
It's a kind of bird. It's an order of birds called goat suckers. And they were named because there was an ancient belief that they lived nocturnally sucking the milk from the teats of goats, which sent them blind.
Oh, God. Oh, I know.
Feels like a fun-size owl.
Well...
Like if you're like, oh, I want to get an owl, but I haven't got the space.
Yeah.
Nice.
They're called oil birds, also known as guacharo, and they are the only vegetarian species of goat suckers. Most goat suckers eat insects. These oil birds eat fruit.
So you said that like it's like a huge surprise to us. Well, I've only just heard they existed. You went, these are the only ones that are vegetarians. Well, I've just found... I mean, I literally couldn't care less. I'm speaking on behalf of everyone in the room when I say... Yeah, these are the only vegetarian ones. Well, let's get this down. What are you talking about? You've lost your mind.
They live in caves in the northern part of South America.
Well, no wonder they're vegetarian. What is there to eat in there?
Well, the thing about them is they get so fat from the fruit that they eat that they become incredibly plump, and there's an annual oil harvest where people take the plump babies, they're thousands, the local people, and they render them for the oil, because apparently it's excellent for fuel and also for cooking.
Do they still suck the goats?
Nobody sucks goats. It's... there is no goat sucking.
How do you get the oil out of the bird?
Well, like, you can render any bird for its fat, can't you? If you ever cooked a duck, you can get an enormous amount of duck fat.
Imagine a world where I've never cooked a duck.
Okay.
I mean, it's like, I don't know, we're not really on the same wavelength here at all. I remember when Sandi had a breakdown on television and she was talking about goat suckers. and then we just gave up. We asked about 3 times, what has this goat got to do with anything? And she just went, oh, it's a bird. But then she kept on talking about goats for ages before, but then we just let it go.
People are... In the tipping point, they say it was one show too many. And she explained to everyone, it's the only vegetarian goat sucker, but it doesn't suck goats. It doesn't even do it. And she thought it made sense.
Yeah, and then she was someone's mother-in-law, and then she ended up in an asylum. And we went to visit her.
There was an ancient belief that they sucked the teats of goats for the milk, but they don't. Sometimes in the old days, they got things wrong.
Thousands of years ago, somebody went, I bet they sucked the teats of goats.
Yes, exactly.
Let's call them goat suckers. And
Yes,
then everyone else went, but they don't do that. I've named them now!
Yeah.
OK, I've written it down in the bird book.
It's like that joke. You shag one sheep.
Yeah, exactly.